Hi everyone, welcome to a new series of coffee breaks. Today I'm here with our partner Karan from the US, and he's going to talk about curation. Karan, can you maybe introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, my name is Karan Bhavandi. I am the founder of a company called Optimal Access. We are based in Los Angeles, California.
Nice.
And we just formed a partnership with Social Cedar because content curation is a great complement to advocacy, and we're going to promote Social Cedar to our clients and to clients in the US.
Okay, awesome. Karan, we talked a little bit, and I really found it interesting in what you do because it really lends itself to what we do. That's why we became partners.
That's right.
To ambassadors. So I think let's dive in your presentation and check why curation is important and also why ambassadors should be great curators.
Okay, excellent.
Cool.
So let's see here. Oh.
All right.
Okay. So content creation today is really essential. This is essential to marketing, but it's also essential to survive this onslaught of content that's generated every day. You know, one of the biggest problems is with content that is growing, like doubling every 2 years, and there's new content coming in all the time. And there's a lot of great content that is published that is really evergreen content that can be used and reused. And if you don't save it, it's very difficult to find it again. So, you know, curation is needed personally, but it's also a great marketing tool. So let's take a look and see who a curator is. Overview. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the curator and how it's going to benefit your marketing, and then we're going to quickly take a look at our tools and see how it is, because what we claim is that we've made curation so easy that it just becomes part of the process of your work, and you can get great benefit from it.
Yeah. So basically, curation really means that you are going to look for content that you in your industry find very interesting and that you want to show the world on what topics you are about.
Yes. So curator as a term, it came from a museum curator.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
And a museum curator is always somebody who has expertise in a field, right? So they know the content, and then they select pieces of that content and they organize it in a way that helps educate people about the artist and the kind of content that they're presenting. So that has been our vision as well, is to create content, curated content libraries that are easy to navigate and really teach people about the field of interest, you know, whatever that may be.
Okay.
So, and we're gonna take a look and see how is that going to help your marketing, and then, you know, look at some demos. So this is a great image we have here on the screen that basically shows you, it's like a sieve where, you know, there's a lot of content coming through, but, you know, there are only so many great ways to say something properly. And as a curator, your job is to find that jewel and to share it. So number one, why curate as a marketer? And the fact is that curation is already big business. 76% of all marketers use curation as part of their content marketing strategy. There's only, I think, 5% of marketers who don't use curation. And, people think of curation a number of different ways. A lot of people, sometimes it's just about sharing content and they call it curation, because the essence is always, we connect in social media through posting and sharing and responding. So the more that you share on certain topics, it demonstrates your expertise in that
who you are, of course,
who you are, and your thought leadership. And the more you basically summarize and give your opinion of that piece, it also is going and help people understand why they should be looking at that. That is going to also help establish you as a thought leader.
Of course.
So, like in marketing, when you create content yourself, you're generally talking about your own products and your own company and all the different ways that it can help. But curation can be a complement to that, where you can basically target the interest of your clients, right? So when you target the interest, now you have a complement to your own. And if they're interested, so for example, we'll go through this a little bit later, but we do content curation and curation tools. So anybody who's interested in our field, as part of our domain is advocacy, it's SEO and content marketing, is discovery. How do you find great content? So all of these fields are related, and people who are looking for growth hacking, right, will then also be interested in what we have to offer. So a lot of the content that we have our own site that we have curated are about that. So like you mentioned, there was a bank that is interested in cryptocurrencies or Bitcoins,
yes,
right? So they can curate information on Bitcoins and be the resource for that. So one thing that we found, one of the KPIs that we have for our site is how many people actually bookmark our curated library as a reference. And we get over 10-12% of people over like the past 6 or 9 months have bookmarked the page. That means that they're going to come back for that. And if they're coming back to your institution to look for that information, then you can then offer that the services. I mean, one of the tactics in marketing is always retargeting, right? As soon as they come to your page, then you have their information where then you can send your own messages. So you're always looking for ways to get them to your own site.
I think this is interesting in a sense of when I pick up strategy with our clients, I also always tell them that they need to tell their story of their industry, not their own company story always, because in a sense of being the product and the price, because that's not something where you can create the story on. That's indeed what you're saying. You need to create the thought leadership within the industry and take the broader picture. And then people indeed are going to bookmark you because you are the logical reference for this.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And the other thing in social communication is frequency. You know, if you look at people who have a lot of followers or brands, they're constantly publishing stuff. And curation allows you to stay connected with your audience more frequently by sharing, you know, content that's relevant, basically. And, you know, we talked about thought leadership. You know, the fact is that when you share a lot of interesting and related content, then you're associated with somebody who has domain experience and expertise in that field. And studies like here by LinkedIn show that B2B buyers are, for example, 5 times more likely to engage with a sales professional who provides insights into the industry.
But again, I think that's a very logical result, of course, that indeed you need to do it.
And it makes a lot of sense,
yes,
right? I mean, if you look at your own experience, you would probably do exactly the same thing, right? And brand recognition is always about repetition. You know, that's why they measure all advertising in frequency and reach and frequency. How many people can you reach? How often are you repeating your message, or are you appearing in front of people? And in a world where there is constantly content coming, that's a big challenge. And this is a very effective way to manage that.
Yes.
Furthermore, we are getting over a long period of time consistently, for every link that we share, we get 2 clicks back. Some months I share about 500 articles, and I receive 1,000, 1,200 inbound links just from the curated content that we send out. So it's a very effective way of
the lead generation.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what we have. So content libraries, content. So what differentiates us a lot is, we've created an easy way to curate content, but also to put it into a library that is, you can organize into channels. And then those channels then can be filtered through content tags and author and publisher tags.
Mm-hmm.
So we have added a lot of meta information that the curator adds in order to help people look at information in context, right? So if somebody is like talking about employee advocacy, I have a tag on advocacy, and then you're gonna get like 3, 4, 5 articles on that one thing, so that you can look at different aspects of it. And it's a great discovery tool, because if you don't know about a certain topic and you go to a library that has a lot of great content with tags, you have a thought of what you want to look at, but you're also going to discover, these are all these other topics that are related that you learn about, that you would not learn about if you just searched in a search engine by yourself, because you have an intent and you're just going to get that specific content. But when you get the content in the context of everything else, now all of a sudden you have.
Yeah. And I think the most, or the best thing I like about your content curation program is, like you said to me before, when you search on Google, it's biased towards people paying for the ads and those kind of stuff, and not always that relevant in your own perspective, but all your content is user curated. So it's always the envisioning of people that are really looking for that piece of content and found it interesting. So it's also going to be interesting for other people in that same perspective.
So for example, one of the things I do when I curate is, every time I have a question that I want answered, how do I read this analytics, or what's the best way to do email marketing? Mm-hmm. And then I go and search for content and I read a whole bunch of different things, and I say, this is the one that really answers good questions. And that's what I curate. I don't sit necessarily and say, today I want to go curate a bunch of content, right? It's just part of my process that when I see things that's interesting, and I subscribe to newsletters and some influencers in the industry, and whenever I see content that catches my eye and I think that that's something valuable, I just add it to my library, and I use that library for reference. Like when I created this presentation, a lot of the statistics that I got, I go back to my own library and I look at the statistics, and then I use that. Yeah. So I don't have to redo the same effort every time from scratch when I get started with it, right? And that's what you want to do for yourself, but also for your clients and your customers, to establish your thought leadership. And again, what's unique in here is that each one of the cards that you see here on the screen, and we'll see it a little bit later, when you share that, it drives traffic back to your own website. So you have really hundreds of content posts. So like, let's say your salespeople are on the phone and they're talking to a client and they just need quickly to reach out and use a reference, we've made it very easy, to make that happen. And anything that you can basically link to, you can add in here, and you can make it into a card and make it look like a Pinterest type interface. And here's a study, kind of employee advocacy, because this company created a content library that salespeople could use, ebooks and PDF files and other types of information to communicate and share on social media. You know that a lot of people within the organization, they want to share good stuff to establish their own leadership, and this is a way to do this, a powerful way to do it, and control what they're sharing, making sure that what they're sharing is actually very valuable, right? Because you can have a whole process in your organization of what you want to put into this library, and they got a 28 times growth in their traffic.
That's quite some growth.
Yeah, that is a very good growth. So very worthwhile. So I think that the best way to do this right now is to take a quick look and see how the product works.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay?
Cool. Let's check. So this is where it all starts. Where it all starts.
That's right. So this is, this is the result, right? So we're going to do two things. We're going to first look at the library, and then we're going to look at, we have a tool that's a plugin for the website. Mm-hmm. It's actually a WordPress plugin, but if you don't have a WordPress site, don't worry about it, because you can always install it in a subdomain, add this, and use it as a page on your site. And WordPress is a free site, so it doesn't cost anything. And then there's a process. We have a tool that's an extension for Chrome that makes it very easy, as you see something that you like, to quickly grab the information from that link and add your own comments and tags. And we're gonna look and see how that works. But basically, what you see here is our own library on our own site. As you see up here, it has a number of channels. We got two groups, like these are tools, curation tools and marketing tools, and then we have posts on curation, on marketing, and on browsers. And then each one of these links here is basically something that you can share. And before we started, we actually shared this on Bram's Twitter channel, so we can take a look at it. And you can also add your own links and advertising at the bottom of this, so when people come in here, they can click on that and go to a landing page that you want to promote on. So, and for example, here you can see there is a tag. If I click on the tag, it's going to just highlight all these different articles about employee advocacy, that what we talked about. Let me put the glasses on quickly. Or for example, here, another one, influencer marketing. And here are all the different articles on influencer marketing that would be interesting. Curation is also really interesting to advocacy groups and political campaigns. I want to later show an example of that, but there's so much news coming out every day, especially for us in the United States. It's a crazy time right now, and to curate all that information so that then you can record the history of it, and then you can take a look at it and learn from it, is a very valuable tool, especially if you're an advocacy or a campaign. You can, that kind of content is content that you can use and reuse all the time during your campaigns for messaging to highlight, certain policies or actions that you're either for or against, but something that you want to promote. So let's take a look over here. It's hard. We have a Twitter tab in the background there. Let's see. Okay. So just to show you, so this is the first post that we had shared here on Twitter, and look what happens. So if I click on this, it looks like it's coming. We have tagged LinkedIn Marketing, which is the author of the post, so that they now are going to be aware that we are sharing their content. It looks very much like this is their content. The description here is something that we have added on, so to put our own brand on this. And then when people click on that, as you can see, it drives the traffic back to the website.
Yep.
And it's going, so from here, somebody can, easily click on this link, and it will take them to the destination that opens up in a new tab. But then they will also be able to come back and now look at everything else that's in here.
Okay, that's easy.
And that's, it's pretty easy, and it's very, very powerful. So we are promoting this post on LinkedIn because it has great information, but we are driving the traffic back to our own website, and it's a win-win for both, right?
And I think it's really fair play that you tag the person where you're sharing from. I think that's a very nice gesture to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that happens on Twitter is that when you tag people, you actually end up in their mention box.
Of course.
So they get to see that you're tagging them,
and they can react.
And they can react to it. They can like it, and it's a way for you to establish some kind of a connection with influencers in your field.
Nice.
People. Here is. So we have another thing that we have a single user plugin for bigger organizations, and this is a standalone one. We have a multi-user one where you can have multiple K-Bucket pages. But this is, for example, this page has over 2,500 articles that go back 2 years, right, on everything that has been happening in the U.S. For the past 2 years. So, for example, if I wanted to take a look at environment protection, I can click on that tag, and now I have tens of articles of different kinds of policies and actions that have had to do with, how the Trump administration, for example, has been dealing with, the environment and their policies and so on.
That's a good way of filtering.
And when you're running a campaign, this is a very powerful way now to remind people of, hey, this is, the kind of policies, because, with everything that's going on every day, it's very difficult to remember, what has been happening.
That's going to be your advantage then, because indeed you as a person can go and dig back and still be relevant, but other people don't have the structure for it.
So like today, big organizations like the New York Times of the world, and the Guardian, they have an ability to do that. I don't, to basically have an archive. But we are actually making it a lot easier for every campaign and every organization to do that. And I think maybe even the way that we are doing it is more powerful than tools that they may even have today in their organization. So, we have one of the campaign groups that we have in the US that has started using our system for curation. He already says that the system is saving him 5 hours a week in curation. So what I wanted to show you here is, so let's say, for example, we have an article in here and we want to curate it. So we've already installed our curator extension on this computer. So all we have to do is there's an icon, and when we click on it, as you can see, it will let's see. No, yeah. It's going to scrape information off of the page. We can choose where we want to put it, in what folder, and then it will also scan for images, and we can pick what image, and we also have the ability later on to modify that. Here the publisher is New York Times, so I'm going to write that, and then I'm going to possibly take a look and see who the author is, which is Lisa Friedman. Oh, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to this.
No worries.
Keyboard. Right? Okay. Oops. And then the tags, I can put in environment protection or whatever. Sorry. Is the caps lock?
Yeah. There we go. So. Environment.
Right. And you can add multiple tags, but you can, you see how it works. And then I always like to then go and look and find Lisa's Twitter handle and add it in here. Right now, this is, and it's usually pretty easy. A lot of times these big magazines, if you just click on the author's name, over here, there is the Twitter handle, and then you can just copy and paste it.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So indeed, it's easy enough.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to find it. Right. So then I generally go back. So either here or there. So let's see if we can move this over a little bit. Yeah. So all of your curation folders are in your bookmark manager, and I always like to just pin it to my browser so that all of my links are always available, and I can go back to edit, and right, change it like that.
And then the Twitter handle is copied.
And the Twitter handle is copied. So it's really that easy, and each one of these folders becomes a channel in your system. So if you have multiple channels, so the format on this is a little bit different, where we have tabs for navigating the channels, whereas let's go back here. Here we have, we've created a different format, and we probably are going to redo this format in our other platform too. But in a nutshell, that's what it is. It's the ability to make it really easy to curate content. Every time you see something, just curate it. Write down why you are keeping that, what has impressed you about it. Depending on your intent. Like for political stuff, I just like read it and write, copy and paste a little excerpt of the article that basically shows me the essence of that article. But you could also have your own commentary, whatever your strategy is, and in a short time you'll be able to have these incredibly powerful and useful libraries with hundreds of links. Imagine if you curated 3 or 4 links every day. In 10 days you have 40. In 100 days you have 400.
Yeah, correct. And again, I'm trying to imagine this on how I'm doing it now, but I'm not doing it indeed. I lost everything that I found interesting. That's very correct what you say. So indeed, with this curation tool, you can create the everlasting roadmap of content for yourself.
There's a study in Infodesk. It's a very famous study that says people use 1.8 hours every day looking for information.
Yep.
Every day out of 5 workers, 1 person is continuously looking for information. And there are 3 main reasons for it. One is your search skill set, right? People are not trained to search properly. And part of it could be that you just don't have the domain experience and the domain expertise to search. The other one is poorly curated content. And they say like wasted social media wandering, right? And curation is a solution for that. It will help you save time. It will help you save time looking for information, and it will help you transfer knowledge, to your visitors and establish your thought leadership in that way.
Okay. Sounds great, Karan. I'm really excited that you were able to come here and give us a small demo and some explanation on curation.
All right. Well, I'm excited.
I suggest if you want to reach Karan, where they can reach you on your website,
optimalaccess.com. We have contact forms.
Okay.
You can easily download our products and play with them.
Okay.
For K-Bucket, we have a training session if you want to, use that curation. But the best way is to just optimalaccess.com, and from there you send us an email, and we'll take it from there.
Awesome, cool.
All
right, guys. Thank you for checking in. This was our coffee break, and we will see you the next time.
Excellent.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.